capital C excited right now. As soon as I started getting this request, I was like, don't ask twice, I got this. I did a my favorite books video probably not that long ago, well maybe like 6 months, 8 months ago, around there. And I showed you guys some of my favorite books that I've read and talked about them a little bit, gave you guys some recommendations, and then you guys gave me recommendations back. Obviously couldn't mention all the books I wanted in that one video. So I've been reading, obviously, still I love to read, and I have way more books to show you, and I hope you all will get some ideas of something to read. And if you're not a big reader, maybe if one of the books I mentioned sparks your interest, definitely try it. I think reading is just one of the best things ever, so it's just my opinion. But I want to get into the video and start talking about some books, y'all. The first one is actually called Good Grief, and it's by Lolly Winston. I've actually read a couple books by this author. This is the first book I remember reading about heartbreak, and I actually felt like bad for the person. This book really made me emotional at times. I found it really interesting and sad and just like really relatable, and it's basically about a woman who's a widow, so her husband has passed away and she's just kind of been self-medicating with alcohol and food and all that stuff, and she's just decided to get away, and she kind of becomes introduced to these different people who she never really would have picked herself with, including a child who's 13 years old and a young, handsome actor. So it's very interesting, very witty. The humor in this is quite good at times. So I definitely recommend this if you're feeling like a good, solid, sort of romantic, but a little bit of emotionalness book. Okay, so the next book is super random and weird, and this is by Douglas Coupland. It's the book called The Gum Thief, and he has so many books. My family's a big fan of this author, and I just picked this one up because it had pink on it, looked like kind of Pepto-Bismol, and I was like, that's my style. It's pretty much the funniest book I've ever read. Did I forget a book? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. I think that this is one of the, like, if you want something that's going to make you laugh, I recommend this. It's basically about these people who work at Staples, and I don't need to say anymore. It's hilarious, so definitely read this. There were some like deeper moments for sure, but there's also just some moments where I was just like, that's hilarious. So kind of made me want to work at Staples, kind of made me not to want to ever work at Staples. Seriously, so funny. Okay, so next is something that I have been working on for a very long time, and that's The Lord of the Rings. This is the whole trilogy in one book, which I personally don't recommend buying this because it's literally like £5, and whenever I read it, I need to like rest it on something because holding it up is like not an option for me. I've watched the movies, and for years I was like, why haven't, oh jeepers creepers, what's happening with my hair? I love fantasy, I've said that like all the time, I don't know, I just love fantasy, and this is like where fantasy began. As I read it, I realized there were so many things movies couldn't even capture. I really recommend reading this if you're a fantasy fan. I know it seems like a big feat, but honestly, like, first of all, it feels like an accomplishment to be like, yeah, I read the whole Lord of the Rings series, because people are going to be like, wow, really? That's a lot of books. And you're like, it's only 3, but yeah, okay. I think they're amazing books, and the amount of detail that was put into these books is literally ridiculous. Like, there are sections in this book where he's like describing, say, like a pasture, like a field or something. It'll take like 3 pages just to get through the description, and while that can be a little bit frustrating at times, it's also super awesome because you literally feel like you're in the moment with the people, and when the like battles are being fought, it's just amazing. So if you're a fantasy fan and you haven't read this, what? I actually have a book review on this, and it's Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. So if you want to check out my book review, I'll link it down below. I loved this book. I know it's a trilogy. I have not read the rest of the trilogy. It's very young adults. Like, I would say like 12, you could read this and up. It makes you think a little bit, and I like that about this because I find a lot of the times with young adult books you don't really have to think that much. You just kind of read it and move on with your life afterwards. But this did make me think a little bit, which I liked. It also made me curious about certain like fantastical things that were included in this book. So definitely check this out, and I definitely want to read the rest of the series. If you read the rest of the series, tell me how it is. If it's bad, I don't think I'll read it then, because I don't want a sad ending to my life. And when I read this, I was like, if there's a sad end to this book, things are gonna go down. So this book is called Left Bank by Kate Muir. At the time, I think everyone goes through a phase where they're like obsessed with Paris, and this is where that takes place. It's a very visually interesting book. You definitely have lots of images. It's a little bit inappropriate at times, but I mean, what book isn't, right? But the story is very interesting. It's quite sad. I don't think there's a happy ending to this book. Basically, let me lay it down for y'all. So it's about this kind of wealthier couple who has this nanny come in, and she comes to take care of their child, and they're having a lot of like marital issues and stuff like that, and the nanny becomes kind of entangled in this sort of interesting love thingy or something, and just stuff goes down, and there's a child involved who almost runs away or something, and it's really good. So definitely check this out. It was a little bit boring at times. The author really captured Paris to me in a book, which I think was kind of awesome. So definitely check this out if you're in like that Europe phase, or you're just in love with Europe. If you're like American or Canadian or something and you're like, wow, I'd really like to go to Europe, read that book. Okay, the next book is technically not really it's a book, but it's the Book of Awesome. I think I was probably just feeling a little down, and I kind of was like, I think I need this book to sort of remind me of things that I should be thankful for, and it honestly does that so easily without even trying. It's very effortless to me. See, like this is like one of my favorites. Like the moment at a restaurant after you see your food coming from the kitchen but before it lands on your table. That like joy that you feel. If you're having a hard time right now, or you're feeling a little down, I definitely recommend this. And even if you're not, like, this is seriously awesome. If you ever feel like you're just getting so overwhelmed with like anything, this is a great way to sort of unwind and remind ourselves of the little things that we should be thankful for. Last book is something that I read when I was really young. I was 12 years old when I read this, and I regret it every day. It's Memoirs of a Geisha, and you're like, wait, Emily, you just said you regret it. Why would you put it in this video? I loved this book. I thought it was amazing, but it gave me nightmares for the rest of my life. I still have these nightmares 5 years later, almost 6 years later. I have these nightmares still about geishas being underneath my bed. So, I loved the book. It was about a whole nother culture, a whole nother lifestyle. It was very interesting to me. Everyone's seen like pictures of geishas or whatever, and you never really know, like, what do they do? What are they for? What's their purpose in society? And when I read this book, I was really amazed and surprised and a little bit upset about what I learned from it. I definitely recommend this. It's a very good story, definitely an eye-opener, and in my opinion, probably one of the best written books I've ever read. So I definitely recommend this, and I probably will read it again just to remind myself that geishas, you know, they're not all bad. So that is my updated favorite books, and let me know what books to read next. Give me a list, give me like one author. I have had so many recommendations book-wise from you guys, and I love it. It's seriously so awesome to interact with you guys about something that I love, and I know you guys do too, so definitely let me know. And if you have any questions about any of the books I mentioned, just let me know as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye!